Welcome to episode 5 of Songs from My Living Room. I'm your host, Scott Allen. I'm here with a very special guest who's not only one of, if not my favorite songwriter that I know, also one of my dearest friends. And I am so honored and happy to have the incomparable Katie Thompson with me today in my living room, drinking some Nespresso.
Delicious.
Nespresso. My favorite thing that ever happened from my divorce of my ex-boyfriend was getting the Nespresso machine.
At least you got an espresso machine.
I mean, it makes me happy. So Katie and I met a few years ago when I was running a series called Monday Night's New Voices. And this was back in 2005. And our mutual friend, Ben Cameron, had suggested that I invite Katie to be a part of the evening. And it so happened that I had a full month of female vocalists, all redheads, I believe, too.
Are we all redheads?
I think so.
Yeah.
And one of the girls had to drop out last minute, so I had reached out to you to come and join us. We were at Barbara Anselmi's apartment, if you remember, because she was musically directing.
Yeah.
And now she has a show opening up on Broadway. It should have been you. Go check it out.
Awesome.
And so everyone was over there, and you came over and you sat down and you played the piano for us. And I just remember all of us going, "What the fuck was that?" Oh my God! It wasn't just the voice; it was the writing, it was the passion. I'd never heard a voice like yours before in my entire life. When did you know that you wanted to be a vocalist, or that you had that gift of being a vocalist?
I don't know. I didn't.
You never knew?
No, I've been singing since I was a kid.
So, but there's got to be a...
I went to school for acting. I didn't go to school for musical theater. I only did musical theater when I moved here at 30.
But you were a writer. I mean, so you had to know that you had this.
My father was a songwriter, and I grew up in a Mormon community, and everybody played and everybody sang, and it was hard to think that I was something special because everybody did it.
Right.
So
you never saw yourself as in the spotlight?
Oh no, I saw myself in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Make no mistake.
Yeah.
But not because of that. I always thought that I would be more of an actress, that I could just, like, singing would be something I could just do.
Right.
Oh, well, this actress, she can sing too.
Right.
I had no idea that they would switch.
So when did you make the decision to leave Utah and come here to New York City?
I didn't. I went to Los Angeles on an acting scholarship.
Okay.
And I was there for many years. I came out
Where'd you
here.
go to school?
American Academy of Dramatic Arts.
Okay.
Just for acting. And then I came out here because LA kicked me in the butt.
Yeah.
A lot.
It's a tough city.
So I thought, no, it's not tough. It's just like I had like a head injury, and then I had an abscess.
Oh, it literally hit you. It really kicked you.
I had my appendix burst. I mean, my house was robbed, and backyard was on fire. I mean, there was a series of like, get out of this town.
But to be honest, Katie,
So
that's sort of your life anyway.
Shut up!
If anyone knows Katie, it literally is your story. Everything, something always happens.
Something always happens.
Yeah, like you literally run into Katie and you're like, "What's going on?" She's like, "I have 95 new projects and I have 17 new ideas." Seriously, that's just sort of the way that your mind works. It's a constant movement of entertainment. And when did you know and sit down at the piano? Because you're like me, you don't read music.
I read.
But you don't read well, right?
I will not. You will not catch me in a rehearsal room saying, "Here, play this," because I'll just kind of play what I want.
Right.
I don't.
But you pick up mostly from ear.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you do cover songs.
I do it all chords because I have to invent it in my hands.
And it's also interesting because you also do great arrangements, though.
Oh, yes.
Orchestral arrangements. You love writing for strings. So.
Well, I used to play the strings.
What did you play?
All of them. I used to switch for a grade raise in junior high.
Oh, really?
Yes. Because I couldn't take my instrument home.
Oh.
So I would and I was a straight A student at the time. Fast forward to whatever. And so I used to get a grade raise every time I switched to a different string instrument.
Okay.
So that's why I know the strings.
Okay.
I really do just write what I know. And
So did you start with the strings and then move to the piano?
No, I start with the piano.
Started with the piano.
Yeah.
And when did you start writing?
Really, so young, like I don't know, I'd say like 7. Because again, I saw my father do it, and I just thought it was something everybody does.
Right.
I just kind of did it.
Was that your sort of inspiration of?
Well, no, I just wanted to have fun.
Yeah. Who are the
like
people that you looked up to, though? Were most the artists that you really?
I didn't have an artist. I just had the radio. Yeah. And whenever I heard music that I liked, I would be like, oh, and then I'd go home and go, I like that, basically.
And that's how it all started.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting, because your stuff is very, very raw. It's very, very, very raw, which makes it incredibly heartbreaking. And Katie and I lived together for a short period of time in a rat-infested apartment.
It was mice.
Mice.
In the couch.
In the couch. And we lived together, and it would be sort of funny because I love to listen to music just on my headphones when I'm going to sleep and like lip sync and then cry while I'm lip syncing. Because I actually teach this in class where I say to people, the reason that you're able to emote during those moments is that you're not worrying about what this is going to sound like. All you're doing is touching your heart and allowing your emotions to sort of come out during those moments. And a lot of the songs that I would listen to during that time period when I was going through a breakup that you know of would be your music, just because it's what really stirred me. And the funniest part is that would be your debut album that I would listen to, which I know is not your favorite of your releases.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, why?
Because it was just it was really produced. It was the first time I learned that putting money into production isn't necessarily connecting with your audience.
Right.
It's connecting with a radio at the time.
Right.
But then after I discovered that music was going to go viral, that I could be in control of my own music, I made the live album, and that has been my highest grossing album.
Right.
Not any of the produced albums, just my live album.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Are there songs from your debut album, especially because it was so raw and filled with a lot of your relationship at that time and your marriage, that you can't listen to now?
I don't listen to anything I've ever done, but I do play things. And there used to, for a while, there was a few songs on that album that I couldn't even touch.
Right.
And even now there are a few that I start playing because people want to hear them, and I just can't. It's like it's so far away from me now that if I don't move forward, then I will just get lost in this giant past that I can't change.
It's interesting. I remember at one concert I asked you to do What I've Done Right, and you wouldn't.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I can't even play it.
Yeah. Why is that?
It was about being married to my ex-husband,
Yeah.
and it's filled with too much, like, hope and pain. Like it's like, yeah. But I do think about that song. A lot of people use that song for their wedding.
Yeah.
And when I write the lyrics out for them, or whatever, like I'll sign something for them and send them to this, or whatever it is. When I look at the lyrics, I think, oh, I can be proud of writing this song because I feel good about writing it.
Yeah.
But I think that I can't. I don't think that it's something that I sing now.
Yeah.
It's ready to be, recreated by somebody else.
So, moving into the musical theater world, obviously a lot of musical theater fans are very aware that you both started Giant, Michael John Lacusa's Giant, and you also were a part of the out-of-town tryout for Big Fish. But you're also, as I said, a songwriter and work on your own project. So a few people had the opportunity to see Red, which was in the festival a few years ago.
Also in Los Angeles.
And also in Los Angeles, where you had Sarah Silverman's sister a part of it as well, right?
Yeah, Laura.
Yeah,
she was great.
Yeah, oh, I love her.
She's got this raspy, cool voice. She sang I Know.
Oh, I love her.
It was awesome.
Do you ever watch The Comeback?
Yes, of course I did.
She's on The Comeback.
I know, she's Jane.
Yeah, Jane. It's literally Robbie who's behind the camera right now. It's our favorite show. Robbie, you can cut that out, Robbie.
I would like to have an accent when I talk to you, Robbie. Robbie! Like a weird accent. I don't know what that was.
I don't know what that was.
Robbie! I don't know.
It was, I wouldn't use it again.
I'm sorry.
What are you working on now?
I decided to make this year's album because I'm overdue for an album.
Yeah.
You should really make one every 2 years.
Well, the last album that you did, which was, I thought,
Private
very
Page.
smart, right, but I thought which was very smart because you released singles.
Yeah.
You did what Carrie Underwood and Taylor Swift actually do now, where they release a single a week, and then they put out the album, and you did that before they learned from Katie.
What?
And I thought that was a really smart idea. What made you choose to do it that way?
I really just needed to work on something one at a time, because I don't know if this happens to you, but all of a sudden I'm completely overwhelmed by too many things to do.
Right.
So I needed to work on one song at a time.
Right.
and mix and master and get it to where I felt good about it, and then I needed to release it.
Okay.
So like doing an entire album takes a lot more time. It takes time that it takes away from if I'm doing a show, that I don't even when I'm acting in a show, it's hard to do other things. I don't do it very often.
Mm-hmm.
I don't double duty very often.
Yeah.
But I'll double duty writing.
Yeah.
But I won't double duty acting. It seems like it takes away from.
This sounded very dirty 3 times. There are people out there that have a fetish for that kind of stuff. So you're working on a new album now, is what?
Yeah, but I've decided it's going to be all covers.
All covers.
Yeah, I'm gonna do 10.
And you're going to
hardcore
use some of
covers.
your old covers like Leather and...
Yeah, but we'll be live with me at the piano, and then I'm gonna do one original song, and I started writing it, so it's called Covered.
Oh, wow.
Like I have the whole thing, and the album eventually will be called Covered. No one steal it.
Don't steal it.
It's just gonna be called Covered, and I'm just going to do 10 covers and 1 original. That is called Covered.
Oh my God.
And I'm just gonna put it out probably every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So every week.
You know, one of my favorite things is your debut album cover was actually painted by your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that could happen again.
Sure.
This one?
Sure.
Oh, it's
she's
so
great.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful cover. And then when you told me that she painted that,
Yeah.
you know, she has such an artistic touch.
Yeah.
It's really...
She called me over and said, "Catherine, you have to get over here. I'm gonna ruin it. I have to stop it." And I went over and it was beautiful.
Oh.
She was right. She needed to stop touching it.
Really?
So, yeah, it was good.
The simplicity.
Yeah, it was
of
like boom. Yeah.
It was amazing. So obviously we've been working together for a really long period of time. We've been singing together since 2005 when we first met, and you were a part of my debut album, and you recorded the song "Say Goodbye."
Yeah.
And we have had some great, you know, nights of drinking whiskey.
What?
And not us, and board games and deep conversations. And before we talk about the song that we're going to sing today, I want to talk a little bit about the industry because I'm feeling a lot of what you're feeling right now, and I feel those emotions.
Like what to do.
They go into this song.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I feel like it speaks so heavily about what we're going to sing.
Mhm.
What do you find is the hardest part of the day-to-day?
The day-to-day.
The day-to-day.
Honestly, what to focus on. I can't. I find, especially this past couple of weeks, I find that it's so easy to start one thing and go, "Oh, this is amazing," and then I get up to get a drink and I come back and I work on a completely different thing. I feel like I have too many things to focus on,
Right.
that I'm not focusing on one, and I don't know I can't decide which one's more important,
Right.
and it makes me feel bad for the projects.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if I could devote all of my time to this one project, then maybe that one would feel the
void or something.
whatever, but
See, I have a hard time
can't.
not finishing. If I'm not finished with something and I can't push it aside, I can't go to another project. I have to stay on one thing. That's why I've worked at home for 16 years, and everyone's like, "What's the next project?" I'm like, technically, my heart is just in home right now and pushing that forth. What do you find is the hardest thing in this industry, both as an actress, vocalist, and a writer? Obviously, those are 3 very different
hardest,
things.
yeah, they're very different. You know what? I find that being an actress and then being my own artist kind of save each other. So I never get too crazy as an actress.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I never get too crazy as an artist because I feel like they help the other part of me. You know what I
Right.
mean? If this ever gets really bad, then I always have this.
Yeah. One of the major things that a lot of people already know, and there was some controversy when it was coming in, and it always happens with shows, is when a particular artist is starring in a show out of town, and then all of a sudden, you know, we're seeing it now with Jeremy Jordan and Finding Neverland, and Matt Morrison took over.
Oh, really?
So obviously you played the role of the witch in Big Fish Out of Town. It came in, expectations were probably that you would be remaining with the project.
Yeah.
And then you find out that most of the cast stayed and you were not a part of that project.
Yeah.
What is that like as an actress? And the reality, I mean, not the aftermath of what you finally come to conclude about it, but that moment when you think, "Oh wow, I'm not a part of this project," and the family goes on without me.
You know, honestly, the first thing I thought was, wait a minute, I sang the hell out of that role. And I acted my face off. There was like, the first thing I thought was, I worked really hard in that role. So I think, you know, after making a couple calls to like, I don't really know what happened, because it's not like, the first question you ask yourself, or at least the first question I asked myself was, did I do a good job?
Right.
And if everything comes back to me to say, yes, you did a good job, and then I can really feel like I did a good job, then that is what is the peaceful part about it. That is what is the peaceful part, is that I know I did everything. Yeah. And nobody can say any different. Everybody knows I worked my ass off. So, however, the things that follow after you know you've done everything is, oh, okay, so not only can you do everything and be as amazing as you know how to be, there are just sometimes that they want something else. They want something else and you have nothing to do with that. And that is a weird thing to accept. Because it's really easy for me to accept that I'm not anybody else. Because I can only be me. But it's after putting that many hours and your heart and soul into something, you think, okay, well, unless somebody gives me another direction to go somewhere else, I'm going to keep doing this thing unless I'm doing something, you know what I mean? So that was, the questions that kept rolling over my mind was, wait a minute, did I not work hard enough? And the answer is most definitely no. I worked my ass off, just like everybody in that company. Yeah. And you brought a lot of yourself into the role. Oh, yeah.
I mean, was that hard? Because I know you as a vocalist. I know what you do with songs. Because, no, I mean that in the best of ways. I mean, you are a very smart musician. So when you come in, which is actually what leads to the song we're going to be talking about today, and why we chose this song outside of the other song, is that you always come in with an idea. So I know The Witch had moments and riffs and dynamics, and I know you very well, so when I was hearing sort of things, I went, oh, but that's Katie. Those are Katie's licks.
Yeah, sometimes they write your riffs down. I think that's kind of like, it's like halvesies. It's like half a badge of honor. Like you came up with something that they loved so much, they wanted to immortalize on the page. Yeah. So that's great. Yeah. The other half is, oh my gosh, what would the new artist, because I don't know her, but what could she have done with her own riff? Right. That could have sounded more like her. Right. Do you know what I mean?
Instead of, well, it's also like, if you're using me.
I
mean, seriously, if you're using what I gave you. Yeah. And not having someone else interpret, then why are you not using me?
Well, again, I don't know the answer to that question. I can only answer one question. Did I work hard enough? And yes, the answer is yes.
Now, I know that you went back and did have a chance to see it on Broadway when your friend went on as a standby, right?
Bryn actually went on the night, and I thought she sang the hell out of it. Yeah. You know, I don't think that it, I think it didn't work in the way that they're still trying to puzzle that thing together. Right. But I didn't care. Like, I really did watch that whole show filled with so much joy and so proud of that company. Yeah. Once you're a part of this family, you can't not be proud.
Well, Kate Baldwin's also one of your closest friends.
Yes, and she's awesome, and Bobby was awesome, and so, I mean, so was Norbert. I mean, how can you not love any of those people? Yeah. They did an amazing job. Yeah. Yeah, so that was really easy. Yeah. It was a lot easier to go and see that show than people would think it would be. Mm-hmm. I was prepared to be upset. I was not upset. It was awesome.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's always hard.
Yeah, I thought it would be like, wow, this is going to suck. It did not suck.
Yeah, I would imagine, and I also could imagine, I could see the fans like looking and being like, what is her reaction going to be?
I don't,
so recently I did a concert at a venue. You had come in to sing a particular song when we were rehearsing, which was my song, I'm Coming Home to You. Yeah. We sat down at the piano. Song, by the way. We sat down at the piano, went through the song. I turned around, I looked at you and I said, this is not your song.
This is not your song.
This is not your song. I said, but Rachel Tucker, who was in The Last Ship, was supposed to sing Anything Worth Holding On To. She's not available because they added a show that evening. Have you heard it? You said no. I said, can I play it for you?
But I had heard it.
Well, you heard the MP3 that I had sent you at one time. And so I sent it, I played it for you, and we sat down and tried to sing through it.
But I couldn't!
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the day of the concert, you threw out your back, unfortunately. Yeah. And then Natalie Weiss, like always, comes in and
she's so great.
Rescues the world. But Anything Worth Holding On To is, the song we're going to do today. Okay. What is it about that song that you felt so connected to, especially in that moment? Because it was a very emotional day for you. I mean, when we were going through that song, that was, you know,
Well, I had just come off of doing like a Christmas show that I had spent the first 10 years of my life doing. And it's always like, whenever I do that show, it's called The Forgotten Carols.
right.
Whenever I do that show, which I haven't,
All you Mormon fans know that, because
yeah.
that's, I mean, seriously,
They do, yeah.
it's funny when you
It's
mention you
huge.
to the Mormon community,
Yeah.
you are a rock star.
They're
and
so
it's a
lovely.
lot because of that, and
Yeah,
Michael,
it is because
you
of
know.
Michael, yeah.
Who we love as well, Michael,
Yeah. But going back to doing that show did more things, like to stir up all kinds of things that was like 10 years ago and in my 20s, and I just was and when I came back to New York, I was at such a like, what am I doing place, and because also whenever you end the show, you have to re-up, you have to kind of re-ramp up and turn everything like, okay, wait, what do I do? What did I do before this show? Before the show was everything, what did I do? And you kind of
What were
like,
my 20 projects that
yes,
were? Yeah.
or what were my 2? Or do
Yeah.
I care about this anymore? And you know, there was so many. I had to like, I moved and there was a whole bunch of life changes that happened before tour, and then I came back and they were still here, and I'm like, oh, I didn't deal with these at all because I went on tour,
Right.
and then. So yeah, it was a day that I needed to sing, like I needed to sing something out, and yeah, I can't even get this song. It was emotional.
Yeah. Well, it was an emotional song to write for me. I mean, it's interesting for me. I always say, if I never write another song again, I'd be happy. I'm sure you have those songs in your book where you sort of say, if that was my last song of legacy, I'd be okay with. This song for me is the last song of legacy that, you know, I definitely think I've written songs after that are lovely, but this to me represents everything that I go through as someone who suffers clinical depression, and it's an everyday battle for me, and you know, it's hard because, you know, in concerts, people that, you know, at the very beginning stages of talking about clinical depression, people don't really understand. They say, well, just be happy. Just be happy. Oh,
that's what I need to do.
Just be happy.
Thank you so much.
That's amazing. What a great idea. I'm gonna try that, and then I'll take Cymbalta. But you know, living with clinical depression and every day, can I get out of bed today? Can I get to the afternoon? Can I get to nighttime? And obviously, you know, the interesting things about depression is it's, you know, it can last a 9-month run and one day be over, or it can last a week and one day be over, and it really is as cheesy and corny as it is to compare it to the cloud in the commercial. Whoever came up with that idea basically nailed it, because it really is a cloud. There's a cloud that hangs over you, and it's like the weather outside. You know, you wake up and you look outside and it's still cloudy. You wake up, you look outside, it's still cloudy, and then one day the sun is out again, and you don't know how that sun got there because you were asleep while it got there, but all of a sudden your eyes open and something is gone. The cloud is just completely gone. And when I wrote the song, for me emotionally it was the toughest song that I've ever written. Usually we're very similar in how we write, our styles, and we write pretty quickly songs, you know. And this took me about 3 months to write because I wrote the whole song, but I couldn't finish the ending. I didn't know how to finish the ending. And I went through a breakup and went away to Italy, and I came back, and it was in that moment that I found the positive in what I saw as my negative. And it took sort of walking away and justifying that this world of art and passion, as incredible as it is, has its moments. You know, we're lucky and we're damned at the exact same time, because there are so many people in this world that don't have passion. So we're lucky because we're one of those people that do have passion. But on the flip side of the passion of the art world is there are many days where we can't afford our bills or to eat. It's just the reality of what we go through. And it was hard to find that positive. And it took me that 3 weeks to sort of be able to sit back down at the piano. And I remember just sitting at the piano the moment I walked in from my flight and just finishing the song. And it was the last song we added to What I Want to Be When I Grow Up, my third album. And I sent it to Jesse and I said, I don't want anything but piano and vocal, and that's it. And we had already finished the album. So it was the last thing that we added last minute to it, yeah. And you know, I feel very honored.
Those are always the best.
Always the best.
Yeah.
But that's what you do so brilliantly. But you know, I feel honored and so passionate about the way you sing the song. And
I'm really gonna try to do it without crying. I swear I'll try really hard.
But if you cry, you cry.
Okay.
You know, as I teach people in class all the time, you know, if you walk away from singing a song and don't feel like you just had a therapeutic moment, you didn't actually sing the song. So for me, you have to have therapy in order to be a vocalist. It's just the reality of it, you know? That's my truth. So, you ready to head to the piano and do a little singing?
Yes. Yes.
Lately it seems lost inspiration. Feels like it's miles away. I sleep through the day, I cry through the nighttime, caught in an empty space. It takes effort to fight, I don't have the strength. I'm holding on to what's still left of me. When the life you had planned slowly slips through your hands, when it feels like you just slept through all the best years of your life, when you can't find your way, when each day ends the same, when you lost the fight inside of you, is there anything worth holding on to? It's hard to be strong searching for salvation, but it feels so far away when the words have disappeared and the melody's unclear. When you lost the fight inside of you, is there anything worth holding on to? 'Cause I will still be holding on to every